What if I told you there's an invisible force that determines whether your job search works or fails? It's got nothing to do with your qualifications, nothing to do with your experience. Actually, it's got nothing to do with your age, your sector, your location, or any of that. What if it was as simple as how you think? Well, this isn't just my opinion. If you study some of the most respected thinkers, they all agree. Now, I'm talking about people like Napoleon Hill, Norman Vincent Peale, Alex Hormozi, Mel Robbins, and Ed Mylett. They all hammer home the same point. Your mindset either makes you unstoppable or it keeps you stuck. The way you think shapes the actions you take and ultimately the results you get. Now, some job seekers stay stuck for months, not because they're unqualified, but because they're stuck in the wrong mindset. And if that's you and you don't shift it, you could still be in the exact same place 6 months from now. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to avoid that. We'll talk about the mindset shift that leads to results fast, and I'll share the story of one of my clients, Cullum, who went and brought the right mindset from day one and secured a job inside 60 days after months of wondering why nothing was working. And I'll also share the story of another job seeker who is still stuck exactly where she was. So let's get into it. So look, none of this is new. But here's what I've noticed over and over again. Whenever I share a story online about a client landing a job without applying or getting an interview through a DM or negotiating 20k more than their original offer, I always get comments like, "That's fake, that would never happen to someone like me, this isn't realistic." And look, I get it. If you've been applying to hundreds of jobs with no response, this kind of story can feel frustrating. But that kind of reaction actually reveals something really important. It shows where your mindset is keeping you stuck. Instead of asking how did they do that, most people default to, that could never be me. But here's the thing, that one shift from skepticism to curiosity can change everything. Because when you start asking, how did they do that? You open the door to a completely different approach. And this isn't just motivational talk. This has been backed by countless studies in psychology, neuroscience, and success coaching. Essentially, whatever you believe with feeling becomes your reality. You will always act in a manner consistent with your beliefs. If you believe something that is positive or you believe something that is negative, or as Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Our beliefs and our mindset form our realities, and to an extent, they act like a screen or a filter. They filter out any information that is inconsistent with our beliefs, and we actually develop what is called scotomas. A scotoma is a word in psychology that simply says that we develop blind spots. We do not see opportunities if we are convinced that there aren't any. We do not see possibilities for success if we don't believe that success is possible for us. However, if we begin to change our beliefs and we begin to change our mindset, we begin to change our reality. Now, to really show you the power of mindset in action, I want to tell you a story about two job seekers, both who reached out to me at almost the exact same time. Now, let's start with the first one. So she sent me a message that simply said, "Lucy, I've heard you get people hired in 60 days. Would you guarantee that?" No context, no overview of what she'd done already, no real conversation about where she was trying to go, just that. Now, I'm all for wanting to know what you're going to get with anything that you invest in, but straight away I could feel the energy. I get a lot of these messages and generally the conversation ends up going nowhere. For many, there's an air of entitlement. Anyway, we exchanged messages and it quickly became clear where the problem was. When I explained that I'm a coach, not an employer, and that no one can guarantee hiring results because it also depends on the client's effort and mindset, her real attitude came out. She said things like, "Yeah, but I've already been following you. I've been sending messages to employers. It doesn't work. Nobody wants to hire people with my level of experience. Tech companies only want to hire graduates these days. What I really need is someone to introduce me to companies." In other words, she didn't want to take ownership. She wanted someone to hand her the result. And when I explained that success requires action, personal responsibility, and a real shift in strategy, she decided she would just try and find a recruiter to find her a job, which, by the way, is not how recruiters work. Now, more recently, which is a few months later, she was still stuck and she ended up coming back to me again. This time, she was offering to pay me double what I typically charge if I would give her a guarantee because she didn't think it would work for her. So once more, I had to politely decline and suggest we weren't the best fit to work together. But that's the reality. Your mindset shapes your actions and your actions shape your results. Now, my client's Cullum's story is a perfect example of what happens when your mindset is on point. So Cullum had actually been following me for a while too, and he was taking action. He was trying things, he had a positive attitude, and he was committed. But even then, he wasn't seeing the result he wanted. And instead of blaming the market, recruiters, or his experience, he asked a better question. What am I missing? And that right there is the difference. Cullum understood that sometimes getting support, real guidance, isn't a cost, it's an investment. He recognized that enrolling in my program wasn't just about learning new tactics, it was about putting real skin in the game. It meant that he would be pushed to do uncomfortable things, the things that actually move the needle, and the shift happened fast. Here's what Cullum said in his own words. I joined Lucy's Career Growth Accelerator in early 2025. The job market had evolved in ways I hadn't anticipated. Months of job applications yielded limited results, and with hollow feedback, I couldn't understand why. Lucy brought a level of insight that helped me focus, build an online presence, and in short order, secure interviews. I found a role I wanted within 60 days of signing up, and my favorite part? I give this course my strongest recommendation. The coaching is top notch, 11 out of 10. Yes, it carries a fee, but landing the right role means it pays for itself. That's what positive mindset looks like. Not blind optimism, not fake positivity, but ownership, commitment. So what's the real takeaway here? It's not that one person was lucky and the other wasn't. It's not that the job market magically shifted for one and not the other. It's not even about experience, skills, or connections. It was mindset. One person stayed stuck because she wanted someone else to do the work for her and was more focused on why nothing worked. And the other took ownership, stayed coachable, and changed his outcome. And here's what most people don't realize. Your mindset shows up everywhere in your career journey. Take interviews, for example. If you've secured the interviews, it means the hiring manager already believes you might be the right person. They want you to succeed. They want you to be the solution to their problem. And when you walk into an interview remembering that, your energy completely shifts. Instead of showing up desperate or defensive, you show up confident, collaborative, and clear. Not please pick me, but let's see if we're a good fit for each other. And your mindset matters even earlier than that too. Take, for example, your attitude to building a personal brand, which is now becoming more important for job seekers and what I have a whole module dedicated to on my CGA program. I'll drop a link in the description below because I know what a lot of people think when I explain that one of my strategies my clients use to get hired so fast is posting online. That's scary. What if people judge me? What if I get it all wrong? But here's what I want to stress. You will never be criticized by someone doing better than you. The loudest haters are usually the ones sitting on the sidelines, not the ones in the game. And if someone does criticize you, let them. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for the hiring manager who sees your post and thinks this person gets it. Or the recruiter who checks out your profile and sends a message. Or the peer who introduces you to someone hiring. Showing up online takes courage, but it also puts you in control. You stop waiting to be picked and you start showing people what you're about. And that only happens when your mindset is strong enough to say, I care more about my goals than other people's opinions. And look, if you're still skeptical about how posting online can't change your career, you should definitely go check out this video where you'll meet a client of mine, only 22 years old, who received a 6-figure salary offer just by showing up in the right way on LinkedIn. I'll see you there.